If MLP can air a Christmas episode during Halloween, I can wear my Halloween costume for a Christmas video. Seems only right. For those of you who don't know me at all, really, I'm a shipper. And one of the biggest ships that I've supported has been Fluttermac, because I think the two silent interactions would be adorable and they'd have a deeper understanding of each other without needing to express it in words. So you can imagine my confusion when I watched this episode and got the shipping interaction with Big Mac I always wanted. But not with Fluttershy! I felt like an adulterer. I had stood by Fluttermac despite all opposition, and then this ship comes along and challenges my fidelity. So, while I try to figure out my feelings, I figured I'd tell you a story. The story of my main 6 shipping and how they came to pass. Now, ironically, I wasn't always a shipper. In fact, I was against shipping in the show. Mainly because I liked that the show broke the mold of girls programming needing romance in it, or there's no point. Despite how progressive we think we've been, society still tells girls their life is a failure if they don't get a husband. A similar stipulation is given to men, but not quite as strong. So I thought the idea of female characters who don't need no man in a children's television program was very refreshing. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. And by Fire Nation, I mean a Canterlot wedding. The reason my opinions changed a bit with that episode was because here we were shown that the main 6 were of marrying age, or close to it. It now seems strange that only Rarity showed a passing interest in romance. There's I don't need no man, and then there's I don't want no man. I mean, yes, Shining Armor might be considerably older than Twilight, but I still think that put Twilight and her friends at dating age. So I began to open my mind to the possibility. And then one of my real-life friends who introduced me to the show asked me who I shipped the main 6 with. Now, at the time, I was still hesitant about shipping them, but she twisted my arm to thinking about it, and well, let's just say the rest is history. So I'm going to share with you what answer I gave my friend at the time, how those answers have changed since then, and how much I ship each couple. I want to state that I am vehemently against shipping the main 6 with each other. Not because of any homophobic tendencies or anything, I just feel it would undermine their friendship. While yes, a good romantic relationship should be founded in friendship, I'm against the idea that friendship must or should lead to physical relationship. I want to keep the friendship of the main 6 balanced, purely emotional relationship, so no, you're not going to see any Rarajack. Thank you. Also, I should probably address the elephant in the room. Most of these ships are going to be heterosexual. Why? Because I'm heterosexual. Simple as that. It's my default state of mind, and ships are best when you feel you can live vicariously through them, which is slightly harder when they don't swing the same way you do. It's like if I were to write a book, very likely the main lead is going to be a white female, because I'm a white female, and I can more easily identify if I can draw as many similarities to my life as possible. That out of the way, let's get cracking. First is Best Pony Applejack. She was the hardest for me to ship. Of all the main 6, I felt she was the most independent, down-to-earth type that probably wouldn't pay attention nor even really desire romance much. Not that she'd be against it, but that she'd never be the type to seek it out. So how did I ship her? I went back and forth on several ships, and even now I'm not especially invested in any particular ship. Firstly, I want to say that my ships for AJ are straight ones. I've sort of been against the notion that Applejack is gay, which is kind of funny because if you guys have seen my moment with Dr. Wolf, I mentioned that Applejack reminds me most of my sister, who is in fact lesbian. So by that logic, I should ship her with a mare. And honestly, I first started considering it after Simple Ways. Not because she wasn't interested in Trenderhoof, I mean, who would be? But rather, I swear she was about to tell him that she was gay before Rarity cut her off to spare her the trouble of coming out. Am I looking too much into a small moment? Maybe. But I still ship her with Stallions because, well, as much as she reminds me of my sister, I aspire to be her. And the reason I was against mare ships for a while there was because I wanted to break the stereotype that any strong, independent woman must be gay. If she doesn't care about looks or chasing after boys or anything like that, then she can't be straight. I resented this frame of mind because, well, I got a lot of teasing for it. Maybe it was my own little corner of the world, but people would equate femininity to homosexuality in both men and women. She can't like men, she's not girly enough. I'm sick and tired of that stereotype, so no, the tomboy gets a man. Now, which man? Again, I went back and forth a lot about it. At first I thought Braeburn, but I couldn't help but ship him with Little Strongheart. I then clung to Caramel and Applejack for a while, mainly because I liked the idea of a very competent Applejack getting with a very incompetent guy who wanted nothing but to please her but was always messing things up and annoying her a bit, and she'd find the gesture sweet in spite of herself. Then Hearts and Hooves Day aired and it showed that Caramel had a girlfriend, and I wasn't invested enough in the ship to fight canon. So who else was there? Well, part of me ships her with that stallion that looks like Big Mac with Caramel's coloring because that's just too Freudian for me to pass up. And while I still liked that idea, I ended up seeking something closer to what I had with Caramel. Someone similar to Applejack and yet different in a core aspect. I ended up shipping AJ with Flim. In fact, I desperately wanted Leap of Faith to change to Flim being conflicted with Flam's new get-rich plan, which was more dishonest than their previous idea, and asking AJ for help about it. Now why Flim and not Flam? Because he's obviously the younger one. See? No mustache. Therefore younger. Perfect logic right there. But as I said, I'm not especially invested in a ship for AJ. And before you ask, no, I don't ship AJ with Raw Raw. Next up, let's talk about Twilight. Now, when I was asked by my friend who I shipped Twilight with, it was before the Equestria Girls movies came out. And my ship for Twilight was Starswirl the Bearded. Now hear me out. We know that Starswirl has figured out time travel at least a little. So what if he traveled forward in time? What if he met Twilight? What if at first she was ecstatic to meet one of her idols? But what if he was super critical of her work and she started becoming frustrated? And what if the only reason he was so hard on her was because he saw great potential in her and ship happened? But this again was a ship I was not invested enough in to defy canon, especially since it was the most crack ship since, as far as canon was concerned, they lived in completely different eras. So yeah, I shipped Flashlight, because why not? Now for Rainbow Dash. To answer your question, yes, I am of the party that believes Rainbow Dash is lesbian. Is it because she's a tomboy? What did I just say about Applejack? Is it because of her mane? No. Okay, maybe a little. But if I must give a reason, although I don't see why sexuality needs a justification, but I'll likely get hate mail if I don't give one, it's probably because, and this is gonna sound super sexist of me, but I see Rainbow Dash as being the type to take care of those weaker than her. I mean, in almost all of Rainbow's relationships, they have started from her defending people against a bigger threat. I see Rainbow Dash as wanting to be the protector. And yet at the same time, the question comes up of who Rainbow Dash could love with that ego. Relationships are about loving the other person more than you love yourself. Who could Rainbow Dash possibly love more than herself? It'd have to be someone she admired, respected, both looked up to and saw as an equal. I ship Rainbow Dash and Spitfire. Now I had an in-depth discussion with someone as to which was the better ship for Rainbow Dash, Spitfire or Soarin'. In the end, we reached the same conclusion. The only real difference between the two ships was where you saw Rainbow's sexuality swinging. So, ship whichever you like, but my money's on Spitfire. When my friend asked me who I ship Pinkie Pie with, my answer was, I don't think we've met him yet. I see Pinkie Pie getting with someone who loves parties as much as she does. Maybe a blue party planner stallion, who she at first is excited to meet, but soon becomes jealous until they combine forces. So for a while, this person just existed in my mind. I made him look like Pokey Pierce because I liked the idea that they looked like opposites but were very similar. And then Pinkie's pride came up. They read my mind. Well, except for the blue part. I mean, I guess it was unrealistic of me to expect a blue stallion that liked parties and balloons and... I still ship Cheese Pie. Next up is Rarity. Before you ask, no, I do not ship Sparity. It's not because of the age difference. Age difference is a temporary problem. Like, you can have a guy at 18 and a girl at 9 and go, ew, gross, who would do that? But by the time they're 60 and 51, it doesn't really matter as much anymore. So really, I think people's problem with Sparity seems to be more from lolly shipping. That is to say, Spike is, for all intents and purposes, a minor. Does that mean he can't be in a relationship? Well, not a physical or legal one, but it's not like minors can't date. I mean, kids start dating between 14 and 16, right? I mean, I didn't, but I heard people did. So, what do I have against Sparity? Well, despite my shipping of Brayburn and Little Strongheart, interspecies ships make me uncomfortable. I mean, in the real world, it's an abomination. Mostly because there's no way in the Seven Hells that consent can be given. In a fantasy setting, it's a little more complicated, but it's still too weird for me. I mean, who ever heard of an equid and a dragon making a successful canon ship? Moving on! In all actuality, I ship Rarity with Fancy Pants. I mean, just look at Sweet and Elite. Sure, when we first meet him, he's with that supermodel Pone, but after he meets Rarity, he literally almost leaves her behind, and we don't see her again for the rest of the episode. We've seen them together a few times since then, but maybe they're cousins or business partners or something. But what I like about Fancy Pants is that he strikes me as the kind of guy who's lived a fake life. He's gotten everything, and everyone agrees with him, but no one is genuine. So he finds Rarity's refined yet honest nature to be just what he's looking for. I mean, look at this scene. Everyone is watching the derby, but only Rarity is actually excited about it, and he just smiles at it. It's great. So, Fluttershy. I've already talked about why I love Fluttermac. The two silent types being able to understand each other more than anyone else can, and being so gosh darn cute together. But, Marblemac has the exact chemistry I wanted. And they blushed. And even though they're cousins, they're far enough apart where it doesn't classify as incest, and gosh darn it, I ship Marblemac! I'm a horrible person for betraying my OTP. But in penance, I refuse to ship Fluttershy with any pony until I see someone as perfect for her as Marble is for Big Mac. So at the moment, Fluttershy's dying alone. And all hail Marblemac, my new OTP, apparently. I feel dirty. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stupid Marblemac giving me everything I always wanted. They were the wrong marriage. Give me.